The following Cooking with Carter episode is sponsored by Mitts of Virginia. In just a little bit, we're going to explain what Mitts of Virginia is and does later on in the show. We'd like to take a minute to thank Mitts for all the work they've done in sponsoring Season 4 of Cooking with Carter.
So we're back. We're going to have Max read a couple more, and then we'll get Mr. Whitaker in. So Max, you can go ahead. We'll get a couple more in here.
Okay. Along the lines of the losing weight you just spoke of, what spices can you sub out when you want to lose weight?
Onion powder and garlic powder are very potent, and you don't need very much. Parsley and thyme are another one. My favorite spice to use is oregano. Oregano brings flavor together with
so good.
everything. You want to watch a lot of spices that have MSG. That's where a lot of the weight problems occur, because it breaks down into that fat content and the body has trouble processing that. You can get spices without MSG. You can use spices without MSG. Avoid butter. That's another one that the heavy content of things to use. Garlic is very good. It's very good for you, as a matter of fact. Let's see. Some fruits actually can be mashed up and grated up or blended and put in with some chicken recipes for grilling and different things like that. As far as seasonings are concerned, lemon zest, orange zest are two other ones.
Can you cook a complete meal in a crock pot?
Okay, this is a show question. Yes, you can. I will. We have a crock pot series coming. I'm not going to say too much of that. That's going to be in between season 4 and season 5. So there is going to be a crock pot series coming. You can do it. You can do many things in a crock pot. A crock pot is a best friend, especially for when you want to prepare things quickly, because you can turn it on, let it cook, and then just turn it down, set it and forget it kind of thing. Just stir it every once in a while. So yes, you can do stews and soups and even stir fries and different things like that in a crock pot you can do. So we'll go over that when we get to the crock pot series. Sorry about that, Carol. Just want to throw that in there.
And the last one from Carol, she's had a lot.
Woo!
How do you know what spices go with what meat?
I've said this 100 times. It's a great question. I wish I could answer this question more fully. It all depends on taste. Because each person that eats, a person that eats is a connoisseur, because they're going to judge what they like by their taste. Everyone's taste buds changes every 7 years. Doesn't matter what kind of chef you are. Doesn't matter what kind of cook you are. You can cook something one way and say, "Oh, that was good." You can cook it another way, and it tastes better. It all depends on, how your taste buds are. For me, I will say garlic salt, garlic powder, onion powder, seasoned salt, and oregano are my go-to spices. Now, when you're using garlic salt, be careful, because that can overpower quick. And the only problem with garlic, even though it's good for you and it keeps the dentist away from you for a while, is that it can irritate a lot of people's stomachs. My mom cannot handle a lot of garlic. It also can cause that indigestion, heartburn, so you want to watch how much you use. Teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half in each dish. Very careful. Okay, so that'll answer that one. All right.
This comes from Bonnie. What's most difficult for you with cooking?
That's a great question. I was reading over Bonnie's question. She has a couple, I believe. I was reading over her questions before we started. I was just absolutely blown away. Honestly, and it's not as difficult now. Flipping an egg was probably one of the most difficult things I had struggled with. In forming a meatball or in making a meatloaf, a lot of things involve pressure. When it comes to CP and you're forming things and you're working, your wrist and your hands can get tired very quickly because you have to keep almost constant pressure. Flipping chicken, turning things, picking things up with tongs. I hate them. They're tongues. I don't pick things up with tongues, guys. I promise you that. But the tongues, it depends on the brand that you get and the sets you get. You know, how good are they? How far do they open? How hard? How hard is the spring to close? Anything that goes against your wrist right in here, it's difficult because once you feel that twinge, your hand wants to automatically open. And that's pretty much with anybody. If you do some things, it's with practice. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. Another difficult thing was breaking an egg in a skillet and having the yolk land in the middle. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how difficult, how many eggs I broke saying I'm never going to get this. I'm never going to get this. So what I did off camera is I took a dozen eggs. And Bonnie, honestly, I broke a dozen of them. Crack, boom. Crack, boom. Perfect practice every time. And it doesn't come out the way you want it to every time. Don't panic. The key is break your egg on a hard surface, pick it up, and slowly open it. Get your hands as close to the skillet as you can, and let the egg drop that way. Don't drop it from here. When you've got that much space in between your skillet, it makes it difficult because the egg's going to sort of bounce, and that egg's going to break almost every time. So that answers that one.
Is cooking with Carter your full-time work?
Yes and no. I am not paid for cooking with Carter as a
Nor does he pay me.
Oh boy, I'll tell you what I pay you now. That's right. Nothing. Cooking with Carter is a lot of work, and it is full-time. I put probably, I would say, 50-50. Honestly, karate and cooking with Carter are my full-time things right now. And it takes a lot of work. It is my full-time job, yes and no. I'm not paid for it, but I enjoy doing it, and I do it a lot, yes.
For people who don't know, YouTube is a very rough gig. It's very hard.
Whew. Oh, man. Let me tell you.
What channels do you air on?
Right now, YouTube and Facebook is where I post my shows. I do not own a TV station yet. I don't have a place of business yet. Notice those words in there. We are always striving for bigger and better things. So keep hoping, keep praying, and send the money my way, because I sure do need it. All right, next one.
Okay. Last couple ones from Bonnie. Did you go to cooking school?
Great question. No, I do not have any culinary training. I learned all of my skills from my grandmother, grandfather, mother, and brother. And self. I just experimented and ate a lot of nasty tasting dishes, and we just continued to work at it, and it became a passion. I don't do anything that I'm not passionate about, because for me to cook, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So we're gonna go and just go with that. You just have to keep working at it, and it honestly. I am planning to go to culinary school. It's about the school that I want to go to is about $43,000 a year. It's a lot, and finding a school that has handicap accessible kitchen is
even harder.
Almost non-existent.
Like trying to find a unicorn.
Oh man, at the bottom of a rainbow with a leprechaun holding the gold. We'll go with that. So we're going to flip it over to Mr. Whitaker now and have him ask a couple of the questions, and we'll see where we're going to go here. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Okay, DJ, we have a question from Nicole.
Okay.
How many people help you make sure your show goes on without technical difficulties or otherwise?
All right, Nicole, let me answer that. There are three main people that are involved with Cooking with Carter right now. Myself, Max, and Marshall. Max handles a lot of all of the camera work. I handle all of the cooking and the explanation duties and presentation, things like that. Marcel does a lot of the things that you guys don't get to see. Washing the dishes, handing me containers, getting things out of the fridge when I need them, passing us silverware. No, he doesn't complain much. He's a great help. We have my mother does help out some with ideas, but she's not on staff right now. So those are the three that we have.
The next question is from Brian.
Okay.
How do you reach your stove with you being in a chair?
That's a great question. I mentioned earlier that I have problems getting to my stove. This will be I'm going to answer it, but I'm also going to show it at a later time. My stove that I have is a front range, okay, and my knobs are placed on the front of the stove. For me to get up to my stove, what I would have to do is move my footrest so that I can actually get up there completely, and then turn sideways to actually get so I can open my stove or my oven and let it down. As far as the stove is concerned, I scoot up to the edge of my chair, make sure my feet are on the floor, and then I'm able to get to the stove, the top range to cook on the stove. I don't cook on the stove much, but when I do, that's how I do it.
Next question is from Derek.
Okay.
What kind of staffing help or options are you looking for when it comes to cooking with Carter?
Okay. Very great question. I honestly didn't think we were going to get that one, and boy, am I glad we did. There's a couple things. We would like to get some other cameramen so that Max doesn't have to do it all. We want to get some other angles. We want to show the show from different perspectives. We're looking for secretarial people to help type out recipes. We're looking any kind of help that we can get with setup and tear down, because it takes us about 1 to 2 hours to prepare for a show before we even start. Because there's the problem right now is there's so few people working on Cooking with Carter that it's hard. We need promotional people. We want people to get out there and promote Cooking with Carter other than Max, Marshall, and myself. We are looking for people to take calls on ideas about dishes and things like that. Probably our biggest is a photographer. We're looking for people to take pictures of the dishes when they're done during the episode, so we can have some more pictures come up. So that kind of answers that one, and we'll go ahead with the next one there, Mr. Whitaker.
All right. Next questions are a series of questions from various people. So the first question is, are you going to write a recipe book?
Oh, that is probably the biggest question that I get from Cooking with Carter since the show has debuted 3 years ago. The answer to the question is yes. We are going to do a recipe book. It is going to be a while because it takes a tremendous amount of time to get them written out, to get the pictures taken. Because not only do you have to get the pictures taken, you have to prepare the dishes and then take the pictures, and then we got to write it down and make sure that everything is there. We have copyright issues that we have to worry about. There are several different issues involving the recipe book, but yes, we have one coming. It's in the works. We promise we'll get it out to you as soon as we can, hopefully before I'm dead and gone, but we'll get it done.
Well, the show's dead and gone.
Yeah, really.
Next question. What are your favorite recipes / dishes to cook?
I am a meat and potatoes kind of guy. Honestly, chicken. I do so many chicken recipes. There's so many things you can do with chicken. Beef. As you can see, I haven't missed many meals, so pretty much anything that's edible, I'll cook it. That's kind of how and that goes back to the question that I answered on it earlier. Honestly, I have a passion about cooking, so I take each dish as a new challenge because I want to cook this as if a person has never seen Cooking with Carter before, and when they cook Cooking with Carter, they're drawn into it. They want to watch me every day. They want to see exactly what I'm going to do, and the fact that I have a disability doesn't matter to them. They're in awe can still keep going and still do things that I want to do. So that answers that one.
Okay. Are you going to write your recipes anywhere on your YouTube channel?
Not as of right now. If we can get some staffing help, yes, but not as of right now, because involving that, I have my recipes written down. That may be something I will do in later seasons, but I don't have a plan to do that right now, no. Hopefully later on, yes, but as of right now, we do not.
Do you have any special tools or maybe favorite cooking utensils you like to use that make cooking easier for you?
Oh, great question, great question. I have a lot of this. If you refer back to the Cooking with Carter equipment series, that will show a lot of the equipment that I've had in the past that I've used on the show. I have various spatulas and tongs and tongs. Sorry, I said tongues again. I have one of those too. See, but it's just honestly, there are different knives that I have. But honestly, you can go to the Cooking with Carter equipment series, and that'll show a lot of the skillets and mixers and things that I use, deep fryers as well. So that answers that one.
When you're looking to make beef or chicken meals, what are the sort of things you look for when you're buying your meats? Wow,
that's a great question. Okay, when it comes to beef, there are two numbers that you're going to see on beef. An example, 80-20. That is, when it comes to beef, the version of beef that's lean and how much fat is in the beef. You want to try to get your beef with 20 to 30% fat or less, because the more beef that you get that's leaner, the more it's actually going to be beneficial for you. Now, your beef has to have fat attached to it, otherwise you would go into what's called rabid starvation, which is just consuming meat with no fat. As far as chicken is concerned, you can trim chicken down. I actually like for chicken to have a little bit of fat on it because it constitutes a lot of flavor. Also, in cooking chicken, you can save the grease, or when you're making, and use that again at a later time. And once that hardens, you can use that for flavor. But one of the main reasons I like for my chicken to have just a little bit of fat on it is because when you're making a soup, a chicken will have the residual flavor that comes from a chicken stock is what makes a meal when it's reconstituted. You can add stock into different things and make it that way. It makes it go a long way. So that's kind of the things you want to make sure that your chicken. Depends on if you're doing bone in or bone out. Bone in, you want to see how much fat content your chicken has. You don't want it to have too much, but you do want to see some. Just remember, if you're doing bone out, you can always, if the breasts are big, you can cut them down and use them in several dishes. So that hopefully answers that question.
Okay, next question. What tips do you have for making fast sauces?
Fresh ingredients. Anytime you can get fresh ingredients for a pico de gallo, tomato, guacamole, onion, is the fresher ingredients, the better. Also, a food processor can be your best friend when it comes to making fast sauces, because a food processor will break everything down as well as mix. Also, a blender is good to have on hand because a sauce will need to be pureed or blended very finely or down into a liquid. So that will help with that. You can get those pretty much at any local store that you buy cooking products from. So that would be fresh ingredients, a food processor, and a blender will help you with that.
Next question. When making dishes or sandwiches that involve cheese, how do you determine what cheeses to use for those dishes or sandwiches?
Did we screen these questions before they went on the air? Some professors are asking these questions. It's getting technical. Honestly, this one goes back again to taste. Cheeses are amazing. There is a level of sharpness, a level of spice to cheese. It honestly depends on the dish that you're cooking, and it comes back to that palate that you have. So really, it depends on, like, for example, okay, a grilled cheese sandwich. It sounds like it's something that's so easy. You can do so many different types of cheese for a grilled cheese sandwich, but it's the meat and cheese that you put together. American cheese can be used. A little bit of beef can be used. Bologna can be used. Cheddar cheese can be used. Pepper jack cheese can be used. Grilled chicken can be used, and it melts together. So hopefully those gives you a few ideas. I'm not going to spend too much time on that one because that's a show as well, and we'll go into that a little bit later.
Next question. What tips do you have for keeping food fresher longer?
Oh, good question. There are several containers that say they're airtight, and they're not. I am going to go with a brand name here. I don't go with brand names often. Rubbermaid is fantastic for containers. But let me tell you a trick if you really want to keep something fresh. If you've got a lid that doesn't fit well, and you've got a container and you're trying to get it in the fridge and you want it to stay fresh for a while, take a piece of plastic wrap before you put your item inside the container. Line that container with that plastic wrap. Okay, go ahead and cover it, and you know, so that it's in the plastic wrap in the container as well. Take a second piece of plastic wrap, cling wrap, plastic wrap, aluminum foil, whatever you want to use. Line that over the top of the container where the lead goes. Then put your lid on top of that, and what that does, there's going to be about that much space, and that creates that airtight seal that you want to get so your food stays fresher longer. Also, big tip, there are a lot of things you can freeze that will stay fresh, okay? Freezer bags are good. Beef, chicken, milk, bread, some of cheeses. The key here is when you freeze cheese, let it thaw naturally. Don't put it in water. Don't set it in a heated because it will melt because of that melting point. So hopefully that answers that one.
Next question. How do you make leftovers taste better?
Oh, if I knew the answer to this question, I'd be making more money than I am now. Honestly, there's two things I can do. A microwave can be your best friend or your worst enemy. You have to be really careful when heating up leftovers in a microwave because a microwave doesn't use, I believe it's convection. I believe it may use convection. It dries the food out. A microwave will dry the food out. A lot of times when you reheat food, reheat it in the oven, which uses convection and the proper heating method for getting moisture back into food. Also, when a dish is frozen and it's partially thawed, you can use a flavor injector and get moisture back into that food so that when it reconstitutes or reheats, the flavor goes back into the food. So use your oven or use a crock pot or try to avoid using the microwave.
Next. How do you get your eggs to fluff and not taste like rubber?
Okay, I know where this question came from, and I know why. The person asked me not to use their name, and I really want to, but I'm not going to. I did an episode called "The Best Scrambled Eggs Ever," and she commented on this, and she was very, 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 very floored with how I did it. The key to maintaining an egg fluff and to making an egg fluff, two things. You have to cook eggs very slowly at a low temperature. The lower temperature you cook the eggs, the slower that you cook the eggs, the better that they're going to turn out. Don't start stirring them until the eggs form up. You want the eggs to form almost a sheen so that when you stir them, they're together. You can use creams, cheeses, and sour cream, and also cream cheese in your eggs. And you use a plastic spatula and just lightly fold them. Don't beat them like they're the redheaded stepchild somewhere. Just whisk them. Easy. Very simple. Very delicate touch on eggs. Low and slow. Anywhere from 200 to 275 at max.
Why don't you wear your cooking vest in all your shows?
Very simple. It's thick and it's hot. Okay? This vest is a professional cooking vest. And I do like looking professional for all you guys, but sometimes I just gotta wear a t-shirt. I can't be super professional all the time. I know I'm not a chef yet, and if I own a restaurant and making millions of dollars, I'm gonna invent me a thin vest. It's hot and sticky. Okay, and we'll go with the next question, Mr. Whitaker.
Okay, next question. How do you deal with timing when preparing a big meal and having everything on the table at the same time and it being hot?
I tell you, I might get you to read from me more often. You got some skills over there. That's a wonderful question. That's something that I struggle with daily. I have asked my mother this question since day one, and there's two ways you can look at it. A meal doesn't all have to be done at one time. When people cook and people come over to eat, they think, okay, I've got to start at this time and finish at this time. One of the key things that you can do with preparing a big meal, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, cook ahead. Do some of the things that you would do, the prep work. Slice your onions, your green peppers, your mushrooms, all of that. You can thaw your chicken and your beef ahead of time. Make sure that it's done. When you are, your casseroles, cook them almost all the way and then stop. Freeze them the day of the event, pop them in the oven. An hour later, they're finished. Very easy to go. Mr. Whitaker brought that up. We had talked about it because that's some of the things that I'm struggling with. You got to remember, too, guys, I don't have all the answers. And like I said, I'm not a chef. So if I don't know, I will go to somebody that's done it before and say, what tips can you give me on this? And Mr. Whitaker's done it a lot longer than I have. And that comes with those years and years of wonderful young experience that he's got. So, he's done some of that too. So hopefully that helps you out. You don't have to cook everything at one time. When you're doing a smaller meal, I will say, cook the thing that's going to take you the longest first. And then your next item and your next item. For example, if you're doing chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy, green beans, and biscuits, your biscuits are going to take anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes. Those can be done while something else is cooking. Your chicken's going to take the longest, 15 to 30 minutes on each side, depending on how big your chicken is. Make sure it's thawed. If it's bone in, make sure that you take your time to let it thaw all the way through. Get that meat thermometer. And then your mashed potatoes, peel them, mash them, all of that first. Put your salt, pepper, butter, sour cream, all of that in. Pop them in the oven. They're done. So that will hopefully help you with that one. A few more and we'll end the episode, guys.
Okay, 3 more questions.
All right.
First, do you have any tips for quick desserts?
I will honestly say, prepackaged food, and I know a lot of people say don't do it, but your mixes are already done. The stores prepare them for you, pour them in a bowl, add this, and this, they're finished. Quick and easy. You're finished. Honestly, cooking is not rocket science. Honestly, just read the packages. Probably the quickest thing I can say is most of your puddings are quick. If you're doing pudding over the stove, don't do pudding over the stove. Go to the store, buy the package, pour it in a bowl, mix it, add your milk, and let it freeze. Goodness gracious, it still tastes good, but we'll go over some of those in a show as well. We're going to have a dessert series. I promise you, it's coming. It's coming.
How long is Cooking with Carter going to be on the air?
Wow, that's a great question. The Lord willing and the creek don't rise, and if it does, I have a paddle. As long as I'm alive and as long as I have passion for cooking, I am going to do my very best to keep Cooking with Carter running, so to speak. The hardest thing is, and I'll be honest, I can't do it by myself. It takes an enormous amount of work to run this show. It is a lot of fun. I enjoy doing it. So to answer the question directly, Cooking with Carter will stay on the air as long as I enjoy it, as long as I have great friends like Max and Marshall and Mr. Whitaker and other people that have helped me and keep me, subscribers keep subscribing and fans keep watching and the questions keep coming in like this. I will do it as long as I can breathe, to answer the question.
Last question.
All right.
Do you ever get tired of doing the show or run out of ideas?
Wow. All right, let me answer this one honestly, just like I have all the other questions. Anybody can get tired, guys. I mean, honestly, I don't cook all the time. If you do too much of a good thing, it can be a bad thing. You have to take a break. You have to get away from the things when you get frustrated. The same thing with martial arts. I've been training in martial arts for 5 years. When working with a kata, you get frustrated, break it down. Step back from it. Have someone else show you. When I have an idea for a recipe that just doesn't go right, spaghetti. I cooked spaghetti 5 times, recorded it twice. The 3 times I didn't record it, it turned out great. The 2 times I did, it looked like plaster and glue. And it's frustrating. And it tastes like plaster and glue. And it's frustrating because I know what I'm doing. But it's the same thing that Max and I talked about. Step back and do it again. Slow down. Look at what it is that you're doing. What is it that's causing you the problem? Go back, review your steps, talk to the people that you've talked to. It is tough. It's not easy, but nothing in life is easy. You got to go with it with all you can, be passionate about it, and that kind of thing. As far as running out of ideas, my brain goes 999 miles an hour all the time. And I don't necessarily run out of ideas. The problem is that I want to do so much, I have to kind of step back and say, right now, this is what we've got. This is what we're looking at. This is where we are. We can go here. We can stop. When we get some other people to help us out, my goal for this show, as I have mentioned before, is to open a restaurant. We are looking at that every day. Max and I are calling places, talking to places, going through, seeing what's available. I've invited Mr. Whitaker over several times. We've discussed some things. It's a work in progress, and that's what makes Cooking with Carter so much fun. Last thing I'm going to say before we go, we have just hit 3,000 views, 3,018 I believe is what we hit. We have 95 subscribers. I want to take a chance and say thank you guys, all of you that have subscribed and kept watching and kept sticking with us. And the Cooking with Carter like page is on fire, let me tell you. We have close to 300 likes on Cooking with Carter right now. People are just going nuts over the like page, posting things, questions. Guys, please keep them coming because I've said it before and I say it again. I cannot do this show without viewers like you. Tell your friends, tell your family, please keep watching. I'll say this to end it. The meals we make, actually before I do that, I'm sorry, any closing comments there, Max? What do you think? Anything you want to say before we go?
Nope, I think you're on a roll.
That's a good. See what he did there. How about you, Mr. Whitaker? You have anything?
The question regarding tips of keeping food fresher longer. Personally, I have a vacuum seal.
Okay.
That vacuum seals the bags.
Ooh.
And it's a great machine. Costs maybe anywhere from $80 to $100. All you would need would be replacement bags, but the machine sucks all the air out of the bag, seals it, and I can put it in the refrigerator or in the freezer, and it last a lot longer.
Wow. Wow. You see, when Cooking with Carter does go, I'm giving it to this man over here. So, yeah, that's the food saver, I believe that is. That's a great point. Well, I tell you what we're going to do. We'll say what we always say. The meals we make are worth the wait, and we'll see you again soon. Cooking with Carter, you guys take care, and thanks for watching. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. As I said earlier, we're going to talk just a little bit about our sponsor for Season 4 for Cooking with Carter. I'm with Richard Baldwin of MITS of Virginia. Richard?
DJ, thank you. I am with MITS of Virginia, and we are proud to be a sponsor for this season's Cooking with Carter. MITS of Virginia has been in the mobility business for over 16 years now, and we've been supplying individuals with solutions to their mobility challenges, be it vans, home modifications, DME equipment, or just a listening ear if you have a question. Feel free to give us a call, 1-800-420-6470. You can see us on Facebook. We also are linked to the Cooking with Carter site and our website, www.mitsofva.com. DJ?
Well, I tell you what, he said it all. As you see the poster here, this gives you just a little bit about what MITS is and does. I know this man personally. He's a great friend and now a great sponsor and partner of Cooking with Carter. We are very thankful to MITS of Virginia and the staff at MITS of Virginia for all of their help. And as we say every time on Cooking with Carter, the meals we make are worth the wait. We'll see you next time.